Hi, I'm going to show you a quick demonstration of the Content Development Kit that we use here at Glimmer. Now, I think it would be useful if you go to iTunes and download our sample app to get an idea of, what the end product is. So go to iTunes, search for Glimmer, click on Apps, and then look at the iPad apps and download the Glimmer viewer here. And then in here, once you download it, you can look into the directory and there'll be a sample wedding that you can download and take a look at it. And then now I'm going to show you what I did behind the scenes to create this app. It's actually quite simple as far as putting it together. Well, let me clarify that. The CDK portion is simple. That it assumes that most of the design work and the layout you've already done. For instance, the sample wedding that we did we did it with help from Studio THP. In fact, it's all their content. They even created the theme. It's their videos, and we did the app portion. So what I recommend you do is you create a folder, files by page, or some folder that has all the content that you're going to work with, and put everything in by page. So here's the cover page, index page, page 2, counting from the index, and then so in 2 here's the basic layout. This was done in InDesign, and these are Photoshop documents here. And then what I'm going to do is just slap this into the CDK and use this as the background, and then I just add the highlights, the videos, and the more interactive portion to this background. So let me go to the next page. Let me go to page 3. Here's another sample here that this was already done and laid out. So once this layout is done, most of the work, in my opinion, is done. This is the hardest part. And so the Studio THP sent that to me, this background and these extra images, and then I put it together using the CDK, which I'll show you right now. So launch the tool, and we will see. I'm just going to create a new. These are for creating new and importing, and these will be used for creating new pages, removing, and then finally the publish page. So create new. I'm going to call this sample wedding Glimmer and Studio THP sample wedding, and we'll do 760, and we'll do horizontal. And then it asks where you want to save this. I'm going to save it here in the top directory for. I'm actually going to do it in Studio THP on the desktop. Okay, I'll save it here. This is the actual CDK save location for its database. Okay, now what I want to show you is how to add pages. When you click the new button, you get by default the cover and the index. Now you can either click new page here and give it a title, page 2, and it's a content page. By default they're all content pages. These special cover and index are only created when you start a new project. So that's one way. And another way is, by the time I'm using the CDK, I know how many pages I want, so I just do bulk insert pages, type in how many, say we want 14, and click OK, and it'll create them. Okay, let's continue. I was going to change the names of these files. Where you go in page 2, it has 2, but it's actually going to be 3 in the CDK. And this is how it was sent to me, and it's not that important really, as long as you keep track that this is page 3. And if you want, you can rename that if you want to 2, but it's really not a big deal. just as long as you keep track of it some way. Okay, so let me add a background to this page, because this will be the first interior page. So this will be a good thing to show. Okay, so now we have a cover, an index, and a background. So let me show you just a couple of features here. You saw how I added a background. Let's go to the index page, and I right-click on the index page, and you see you can add a text box, which is just pretty much what it says. You can write text on the screen. I don't use that ever because I use Photoshop or InDesign to do it, and then I just export it, so the pictures will look as good as they can. And add a text file, add a focus. Now the most common ones are add picture and add a focus. And now let's do add a I'm going to add a picture, and I'm going to browse for, actually I'm going to show you, I'm not going to add a picture this way. The most common way to do this, I'm going to add a little Facebook and Twitter like I did in the demo that you might have seen. Now, so you just make a square the size you want the graphic to be, right click on it and say add picture, and then browse for the picture, and I have this in the index page. I'll say Facebook, open, and then what I do to make sure it's exactly the size I want is I will go to the actual icon itself and then find the pixels. See, it's 42 by 43, and so what I do here is I say 42 by 43. The left and top portion will be accurate according to this up top left portion. So that's the most important thing. The size of this doesn't matter so much because we updated the width and height here. Here's the file, and I click OK, and you'll see there it is. So, and what I also do is I will click on this. See, I'm over here, index page picture, right click on it and edit, and a lot of times I'll write that down, 815, and then 694. And the reason I do that, say I want to add a Twitter. I'll go right next to here. I want to add a Twitter button. Right click on it. Oops. And this is a common problem here, is that you do this and you can't click on it. So what that means is I was already on the picture. See, it's highlighted here, picture. I need to be on the index page, and then come back here and highlight your area where you want your picture. Click add picture, and then now see it says left. The other one was 815, which is fine. I'm shifting this over, but the height, I want it exactly the same spot. So I'm going to type 694, and then I'm going to make sure I have the right dimensions for the Twitter, which is 42 by 43. So 42 by 43, because you don't really want to distort or resize the graphics. At least I don't. I want them to fit exactly the dimensions of the iPad. And I need to select the button or the graphic, and there you go. And now, right now, we have the background and two graphics. Now I want those to actually do something. So all you do now, make sure the index is selected, which it is, so it's working on this whole page. Then highlight the area you want clickable, right click on it, and then say add focus. Now add focus pretty much lets you, basically means it's clickable, it's tappable, and it'll do something. So you click that add focus, and then you say, well, what do you want it to do? And in this case, I want it to jump to an HTTP link which will have the details about Facebook, saying look what I made, or come check this out, and it'll pull graphics that you can put thumbnails to. But just look here at some of the other options. You can jump to another page in the app here. You can pop up a text box, pop up a picture. Okay, continuing on, the options here are, jump to an HTTP link, which could be a web page or Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn link. Play an audio file when you tap it, pop up a video, pop up a picture. These are the four I used in this sample app. I didn't really use any of the others for add focus. So jump to an HTTP link. Right now I'll just do simple web page. That. There it is. You can see now there's this focus. You see the red highlight around the Facebook. So click picture. That's highlighted. Click focus. You can see that. Now, say this little red dot is an interesting thing where that means when you go to this page, that will blink briefly to let you know that there's something you can do here. You can tap it. Now, say I wanted to move that to the upper left corner. You just create a rectangle or square here that the center is where you would like the dot to be. And I can just right click on it now and say change highlight position. Say OK. And then now it'll be right there. I can change it over here, change highlight position, wherever. You can move it all over. Okay, so now another thing, this is the unique page. This is an index, and the way to create actually linkable indexes is you click on index, so it's highlighted, create what you want to be tappable in the region, right click and say add index column, and then you just say which page you want to go to. Go to page 7. Done. That's it. Then go to the next, jump to add index column, go to page 9. I'm just making these up right now, and you get the idea. Add index column, go to page 10. Done. Okay, so that's the index. Now let's go to the first interior page. Now here there's multiple things you can do. Let's do one of the most common things, and it's you want to pop out this picture so you can see a close-up. So I'll make sure that 2 is selected, highlight it, right click, add focus. This is the most common thing, and it's going to be pop-up picture. And I leave everything else the same. Select file. I'm going to go files by page, page 2, and the dress. This is the full sized image. Click OK, and then there I can move that highlight again. So click on the focus. Say I want it up here. Change highlight. OK, done. OK, so now let's click 2. So I'm working on the page again. Now go to video, and here I can just right click and say add video, and I select it, and it's page 2. I already have it in there, and this is the one I wanted was the dress shoes video. And here you can do you have a bunch of options. Allow the user to have controls, this and that, and they're pretty self-explanatory. So there's the video, and it'll put a little video marker as it links it in, so you know it's there. Okay, and that's pretty much what you do here. And what I've done with Studio THP, since they gave us all this great content and did the design and did a bulk of the work here for this demo, I would highlight, make sure 2 selected, highlight it, right click, add focus, jump to HTTP, and I would add their URL, and this could be your company's URL, studiothp.com. There you go. Okay, and then let me show you one last common feature here is what I call a slider. Let's go to page. Let me see what page I have a slider for. I have a couple sliders, and I'll explain what those are. Okay, so this is page 3. Let's just add. I can rename this if I want to, but edit page title. We'll call it 3. Add background picture. Go to page 3. Background picture from the template, and then now what I want is just somewhere over here. I actually have an icon that I added to the InDesign that I don't have in this version, but I just added select 3, and I added a focus, just a random blinking light will come here, and I'll say add focus, and I'll say pop-up picture. I'm going to